Well, thank you so much for joining us. Now, first of all, take us through the program for the next couple of weeks. What should we expect?
Monday, which is tomorrow, the 7th of May, is the opening of the 6th sitting of the 4th Parliament, of the Pan-African Parliament. Tuesday, we go into the substantive business, the reports of the committees, reports on the African Union reforms that are going on, and the rest of the program. In terms of the usual work of the Parliament, we will focus on the right to health in Africa, and we'll have speakers from the UNAIDS, and also former President Motlanthe will be one of the main speakers. But the main highlight of the program for the next 2 weeks is really the elections of the Pan-African Parliament Bureau. The Bureau is the President and the 4 Vice Presidents. And following the election of the Bureau will be the transitional issues that have to go with such an election, because it must also trickle down to the caucuses and the permanent committees. They will also have to choose new leadership. So that really is the main focus. For tomorrow at the opening ceremony, we are very privileged to have as guest of honor His Excellency Musa Faki Ahmad, the chairperson of the African Union Commission. So that's how I would summarize the program for the next 2 weeks.
All right, now, Mr. Harawa, let's talk a bit more about the Pan-African Parliament. When it was founded in 2004, it was meant to be a legislature for the African Union, but it has been a platform for debating the very same continental issues affecting the continent as debated by other African Union institutions. So is it correct to say that the PAP has been reduced to a mere talk shop?
No, the Pan-African Parliament, well, first of all, to say it is a parliament, so one of its expected mandates would be legislative business, that it would be able to make laws. But it is also a mandate of the Pan-African Parliament to provide advisory and consultative direction. And in the last 13 years, that is what the Parliament has focused on. The Parliament will not have full powers to make laws until after the ratification of the revised protocol of the Pan-African Parliament. We refer to it as the Malabo Protocol because it was set up in Guinea, Pretoria, and in the city of Malabo. So until we have sufficient ratification to the Malabo Protocol, the mandate of making laws for the Pan-African Parliament will continue to be limited. Right now, the focus on lawmaking is really on model laws, and model laws are not binding on the various member states. They are more like an opinion which can be adopted and customized within the national legislation and taken forward as legislation for that country. So that's where we are at now. We do have a mandate. That mandate is advisory, that mandate is consultative, that mandate makes us one of the 3 governance watchdogs of the African Union community. And that mandate also includes legislative business, which so far we are not able to exercise until the ratification is done.
I want to engage you a bit more about the Malabo Protocol that we've just mentioned. Well, a couple of years ago, the former Mozambican President Joaquim Chissano said that the PAP was founded as, as the parliament of the AU's contemplated United States for Africa. I mean, this is the area where it's meant to be legislating, and it's been discussed at length in Malabo, in Equatorial Guinea. So the only thing that needs to happen now is for the PAP to be given those legislative powers. Nothing of the sort has been happening. Fewer states had ratified the Malabo Protocol, and even fewer states have actually signed it. Why is this the case?
Well, so far we only have 5 states which have ratified the Malabo Protocol. The African Union has 55 member states, but only 5 have ratified. we need to get ratification for at least 28 if the Malabo Protocol has to come into effect. The reasons behind that, I think, left best to the member states themselves. We are a creature of the member states, and the member states determine the pace at which they want to put us into full effect as a legislative organ. But perhaps one of the reasons that makes the states move cautiously towards ratifying the Malabo Protocol is the apparent conflict, the potential conflict between the powers, the legislative powers of the Pan-African Parliament and the national legislation of the individual member states. By this, I mean there's likely to be caution, to be fear that the powers, the legislative powers of the African Parliament might encroach on the sovereignty of the individual member states. That could be one of the reasons. The other reason is that these things take a lot of time. So if we have to borrow examples of other continental parliaments, 50 years is not too long a time for the parliament to evolve to full status. These are not reasons that are given by the member states themselves. But in talking to them, when we try to sell the idea of ratifying the instruments, that's an impression that is created, that there is still a lot of consensus building required and a lot of clarification required by the member states on what role will the Pan-African Parliament play exactly. That does not take away the sovereignty of the nations.
Well, we don't have much time, unfortunately, but take us through who is running for the highest office of the PAP.
The highest offices of the PAP are the president and the 4 vice presidents. That's what constitutes the Bureau of the Pan-African Parliament. Each regional caucus nominates one candidate for the position of president. We have 5 regional caucuses: the north, the south, the east, the west, and the center. Right now, I can't tell you exactly how many candidates there are going to be for the position of president, because so far only the northern region has submitted a candidate. So as I speak to you, there is only one candidate. But the caucuses are meeting again tomorrow and the day after tomorrow, the 7th and the 8th of May. And it's expected that during those regional caucus meetings, each caucus will be presenting a candidate from their region.
All right, Mr. Harawa, I would imagine it's going to be a very hectic 2 weeks for you. I'm going to let you go. And, thank you so much for your time. All the best in that summit. That is the Secretary General of the Pan-African Parliament, Mr. Vipya Harawa, speaking to us live from our Pretoria studio.